Hey, what's up everybody? Pepper plants are some of the easier vegetable plants to grow and have success with, but there's a few things that if you miss, it can be detrimental, and I want to give you those things so you don't make the same mistakes I made when I was getting started. Let's jump in. Now, in terms of growing peppers from seed, the first tip I have for you is to start them early. Peppers grow so slow. Down at the garden center, we'll start our pepper seeds as early as February. And after a couple weeks, we'll move those seedlings into our cell packs and we'll grow them out until like late March or April before they're ready to set out. We're here in zone 7, so even then, you might not be able to set the peppers out because the ground temperatures might not be warm enough. And you'll grow peppers all the way until July or August before they're actually ready to harvest. Another important tip I wish I'd known is to water consistently. You see, peppers are actually prone to blossom end rot. And although this is sometimes caused by a calcium deficiency, it's usually a result of an irregular watering schedule, which puts stress on the plant. Now, a drip irrigation system on a timer will definitely take care of this problem, but if you're like me and you're still watering with a hose, try not to wait 2 or 3 days and then it's like, oh, I forgot. Run out to your garden and then try to water heavy to make up for it. Now, in the heat of the summer when temps are in the 90s, I have to water my plants every single day, but that's because I garden in raised beds. And if you're gardening in containers at home, you're probably going to have to do the same thing. In the ground, it holds a lot more moisture, so you might not have to water every single day. But the best way to find out is to do the knuckle test, where you stick your finger in the soil up to the 2nd or 3rd knuckle and you check for moisture. Now, the third tip I'll give you is something I did last year. I knew not to do it and I did it anyway. I got a late start planting my peppers last year and I thought, you know what, I'm going to give them a little boost. So I doused them in 10 fertilizer. A few days later, brown spots appeared all over my leaves. Come to find out, I had severely over fertilized and burned all my plants. And I actually didn't lose all my plants. I just had to run the hose over and over and over in my beds and try to dilute the salt and rinse all the fertilizer out. Now, these were younger pepper plants that I burned, and younger plants are a lot more susceptible to over fertilizing. If I just would have added some compost or fertilized with something organic and slow release, I wouldn't have had a problem. Moral of the story, if you're going to use some of the stronger fertilizers that are out there on the market, make sure your plants are mature. Another important tip I'll give you is to make sure your pepper plants are not in too much sun. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy because we all know that peppers need sun, but anything over 8 hours, or if your pepper plants are getting that harsh afternoon sun, this can actually stress your pepper plants out and they will drop their blooms. I am very fortunate because in my garden here, the late afternoon sun is shielded behind those sets of trees. However, in previous gardens I owned, my pepper plants would get pounded with that harsh late afternoon sun, and in July, maybe late July, August, my pepper plants would like go into this survival mode where they thought they were dying, they were getting too stressed out from the sun, and they would actually drop their blooms as a survival mechanism. You certainly can't grow pepper plants under a shade tree or on a covered porch. They need sun, but 5 to 8 hours of direct sunlight and or morning sun, afternoon shade is the sweet spot. The last tip I'm going to give you has to do with spacing. In one of my previous gardens, I once had a sweet banana plant and a cayenne pepper plant that were planted way too close together. And they ended up cross-pollinating and making this weird banana pepper, and it tasted horrible. Imagine you're about to bite into your cayenne pepper, thinking you're about to get this endorphin rush from the capsaicin that's in hot pepper, and it tastes like this mild nastiness. This year I honestly got my pepper plants a little too close together. Giving them 1.5 to 2 feet apart is definitely what I recommend. Not only will this help with cross-pollination, it'll also give your pepper plants roots room to grow, as they need at least a square foot to spread out. If you're trying to save your peppers seeds for the next year, I recommend planting even further apart. Try to keep them a minimum of 20 feet apart, just so that seed stays true. All right guys, I really hope this helped. If it did, let me know down in the comments and what you'd like to see a video on next. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, would you consider subscribing to the channel, hitting that notification bell so you can get updated every time we release a new video. Until next time, become a plant person.